Thank you all for coming to my channel. This will be the second video that I've ever uploaded. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to move really fast. First, we have the new Cold Snap event. Then I'm going to go through patch notes, just the stuff that you need to know, and finalize by revealing some information from a dev interview. I want to just say that I try to make sure that my videos are not filled with fluff, not just kind of boring gameplay videos or kind of you seeing me do the A and B testing. It's just filled with the concise information that I've personally tested or found out there. I only want to put out information that I would personally want to know about. Time is important, and I do not want to waste it. First, I just want to kind of also say thank you for coming back. If you've watched my first video, the first video I ever uploaded blew up way beyond what I was expecting. I don't understand why. The comments were surprisingly positive and motivating. Even the negative comments was great constructive criticism. I just absolutely love this gamer community. That was fantastic. Thank you all so much. And at the end of the video, I'm going to throw in my Discord also in the bottom in the comments, so that if you guys want to join a gamer community, it'll be right there for you. Anyways, let's just jump right into it. Happy holidays, Cold Snap. How has Speranza changed? So we have this Cold Snap event. Um, I was going to show a video about it, but I really just think it's easier just to go over kind of the main things about it. So increased loot value is sort of the main sort of component. Uh, Similarly, it says it in Night Raid, so I'm assuming something similar there. Outside of that, there are snowballs you can find and throw at people. Surprisingly, does a lot of damage to arc. Two shots. Some of the things that you're some of the arcs that are flying. It's pretty impressive. Um, Outside of that, they've added Candleberries to the map. So let me kind of show you this really quick. Candleberries, they're mainly for the project. You can get them from the battle pass. They stack to 10, sell for 460 each, and if you recycle them, you get 2 assorted seeds. The main use, though, of course, is for the project, which I'm going to go into in a second. But first, I wanted to talk about how the cold snap mechanic works, the freezing element of it. I tested it myself. It seems you start taking damage about 2 minutes and 4 seconds. I believe that 4 seconds is probably a buffer period to allow it to essentially start the timer. The damage seems to be about 1.5 damage per second. When you go inside, it doesn't seem to reset the timer. In fact, going back out right away, I found that I'm taking damage right after a couple seconds. I'm assuming that's the buffer. If I wait a little bit longer inside and I go back outside, it doesn't reset to the full 2 minutes, which makes me think that the way that they coded it is there's an invisible cold bar that determines when you shiver or start taking damage, and that cold bar starts to slowly fill back up when you go back inside, and then when you go back outside after the buffer period, it starts to go down until you hit 0. And essentially that is how the cold damage works. Outside of that, let me get right into the battle pass. So we have this battle pass here. It is 26 days live event. Essentially, when you're playing the game, it's gonna go up and do it. It's a free battle pass. Essentially, it's alternating cosmetics and Candleberries kind of all the way down, and with a few Raider tokens sprinkled in. It seems that there's 5 Raider tokens, so in total about 250 Raider tokens, which is about $2.50. At the end of the battle pass, there is a cosmetic for your melee or breach tool. I think it is the first cosmetic for the melee or breach tool. And so that is essentially how the battle pass works. You do get Candleberries from it, which you can use at the project. You can access the project either on this screen by clicking project or by going to Raider and projects. The expedition, Flickering Flames. Flickering Flames is this new event. Quickly, let me show you how the different sort of things that you will need for it. I'm just going to show up on the screen. I'm not going to go through all of them, but essentially the first stage: wine bottle, plastic parts, durable cloth, Candleberries, decoration. Second stage: presents. Third stage: beverages. Fourth stage: meals. Fifth stage. At the end of it, I'm not going to ruin it for you all, but at the end of completing it, it seems you get a pretty cool holiday spirited cosmetic. It is not a Santa Claus outfit because that is what I wanted, and they would never put that in for me. So whatever. But yeah, moving on. I do want to cover some of the patch notes here now because it's just easier to show you on this screen. But I'll go through more of them later, but skip these when I get to them. So the first one is the cred cap. They added a cap of 800. I believe they've said that this is essentially so that you don't just like buy and burst out all of the Raider deck items as soon as the new Raider deck comes out, because it's pretty easy to kind of, clear your Raider deck. And so if you're just stacking it, it just clears that. Additionally, which I didn't really see in the patch notes, but it looks like they updated the store. Specifically, which store was it? Is it
tea from Candleberry leaves?
I'm trying to find it now. Don't. Oh, right here. Got it. Finally found it. It is the security guy, and essentially you can now use your cred to buy various different items. These items were definitely not here before. In fact, I think that the only thing that this person sold, if I remember correctly, was the binoculars and the Raider hatch key, if I remember correctly, for 900. Is the Raider hatch key anywhere else? Doesn't look like it. So it looks like they've now changed this to a cred store. A lot more useful, if you ask me. So that's kind of cool, just to try to get you to burn it so that you'll grind more when the new Raider deck comes out. Outside of that, let me show you the skill tree changes. Oh, that's not that. Also, you get to see what my skill tree is. But the just two changes. Effortless roll, they buffed it, so it even uses less stamina. And calming stroll, they added it so that you can now move and aim down sights and it will still work. Because it says while walking, your stamina regenerates as if you were standing still. It now, I guess, works while you are moving. And so those are the two skill changes in the patch notes. Outside of that, you can reset it, but you can only reset it fully. I can't like do 1 point at a time. And it looks like for the full amount, it's 152,000 coins. I really like my tree the first time I did it, so I'm not going to be resetting. Down to determined, I grabbed for group play. I like encumbrance stuff. Breach lockers seem to be nerfed yet again, but so be it. Outside of that, they've added the ability to like rotate your character here, which, to be honest, I thought you could, but I guess you couldn't. I don't know. Settings to toggle down aim sights, and a weird one for I've had friends that like their mic wouldn't work in the game, and I'm guessing that this one fixes that. But essentially, if you had a Windows permission issue with your microphone, it wouldn't work. And so now it will now prompt you if you have a Windows permission issue to fix your microphone. Additionally to that, they have added to the player stats screen, which if you guys didn't know about the screen, it's actually pretty cool. It will tell you how much you profit or lose on each run in the round history. You can't like click on it or anything, but essentially what they added is field crafted items are now properly calculated in the screen. They also improved the accuracy of tracking damage dealt in player stats. And interestingly, they added the videos button here under World Book. So there's player stats, there's World Book, videos. You can watch all your previous videos. That's all pretty much for the menus. They did change trials. Here's now the trial awards because it's over, but they added for the top 5 players, you can now 3x promotion to make it easier to rank up if you're top 5 in your leaderboard. But you can't see that yet because there's not a new trial. Its next one starts in 4 days. They also added some new objectives, apparently. We'll see, because those objectives did get stale fast. In fact, I was grinding it, and then I decided to quit once I got to wildcard. So there you have it. And then actually, really quickly, what I'll do is I'm going to go and do the expedition. I'm gonna sign up right now. Let's see what happens. So it tells you what's going to be reset. It tells you what's going to be kept. I'm hoping that it keeps my workbench upgrades. It does sound like it will, but it doesn't really kind of clearly say that. That's the only one I'm kind of worried about. Obviously, I'll lose the blueprints and things like that, but so be it. Hit confirm. Now what happens? Okay. So it just says you're signed up for a departure. I didn't lose anything. It just says the window closes in 4 days. It didn't erase my stash or anything, so we're pretty good there. And that's about it. So if you guys were scared to hit the button, looks like you can hit it and it will just kind of automatically happen. So I just wanted to let you know that. Another cool thing that I wanted to kind of cover, and this is the last thing before we get on to the patch notes, is it looks like if you were treated with unfair play due to hacking and whatever, if you report players, it looks like to some degree it does work. My items were lost to unfair play, and I managed to get them back. It doesn't give me the loot back that I got that round, but it does give me what I went in there with. And good thing that I don't free loot, because that at least helps me there. And then that's it. Then it looks like they want me to download an exclusive Arc Raiders outfit for downloading the finals. That is not going to happen. But moving on to patch notes. And I'm going to move through this extremely quickly. Again, only telling you the things that you need to know. Let's get into it. So, weapons. Betina buffed. Not directly to time to kill speed, but just kind of good buffs overall. It is primarily a PvE weapon, as the dev said, second best to that of the Hullcracker. They fixed the durability burn about 3 times better, increased the magazine size, and decreased the reload time. The durability burn was horrendous. I mean, like, if I'm going to use it as a PvE weapon, I do not want the durability to go down to nothing. So hopefully that is a good buff. The Rattler base magazine from 10 to 12, which is inadvertently a buff to free loot, as if we need that. I do think the Rattler base magazine was too small, but they do need to kind of like look at the level 1 versions of those gray weapons. I think the level up versions are pretty fair, but the level 1 versions of those probably need to be relooked at. The Shredder itself was heavily buffed, less knocked back, more move speed, more turn speed, better navigation, faster at entering combat, but more parts can be destroyed. So I don't know if you could call that a nerf. They fixed some rare animation issues that typically wouldn't occur. More animations to skins and equipment. For Arc, they buffed the missiles so it can correctly track and target players at different elevations for any current or future Arc that uses missiles. They buffed the Sentinel range to where it wouldn't shoot at great distances, apparently a bug. That Sentinel does hit hard, so I guess that could be dangerous now. They disabled the ability to vault on surveyors, which I'm actually impressed that any people were able to even jump on it. I mean, the thing is so fast and so hard to kill sometimes that I don't understand how somebody was able to jump on it. So be it. Sound, fixing audio issues, gas stun, impulse mines, increased footstep priority, fixing the way that sounds. Footsteps are now louder on metal stairs when walking. This is pretty important. I mean, I think I've tweaked my sound settings so much trying to get it perfect. It's still not that great. I'm hoping that this helps it. They've improved directional sound of arc enemies and just some overall additional polish. Maps, fixing spawning logic for reconnecting characters. I wish they just like added more spawn locations. Collision issues to address walking through terrain or camera clipping. Hopefully that solves a lot of these problems. I mean, the camera clipping, walking through walls, I don't do it, but it does annoy me if I see somebody do it. Pretty big one. Security lockers are now dynamically spawned. So that is across all the maps instead of being statically placed. From testing it, it seems that all the old locations are in the pool, in the rotation pool. I don't know if they've added any new ones, but essentially in the old locations, they might not always have one. I haven't found any new locations yet, though, but I assume there's some out there. Overall, another nerf to the security breach skill, but kind of coincidentally, kind of also a loot buff because of the other buff that I'll get to in a second. They seem to have higher blueprint chance, so it might not be that bad. Electromagnetic Storm sometimes leave behind a valuable item. So let me show you that really quick. So it is a Fossilized Lightning. It sells for 4,000, can be recycled into 3 explosive compound. That's the gist of it. It's just a recyclable item that you can sell for money. So that kind of buffs the Electromagnetic Storm. Definitely needed something. It's definitely the worst of all of the different events. It is fun to do, though, so you have that. Great Mullen spawn locations across all map. So if you guys don't already know, and I'll do a looting video some other time, but essentially the best place to get Great Mullen is the Galleria. There's just about 35 of them or so in there. So pretty good. But outside of that, it's pretty tough. And Great Mullen is extremely important if you want to like do blue and green bandages pretty regularly. And so you have that there. I think that's actually pretty important. So I'm glad that they did that. Changing the matriarch spawn point, kind of moving on. This one is pretty big. So The lock gate map condition has been added, which means the Bobcat blueprint has also now been added back into the rotation. I'll do a loot video sometime later, but quickly, all purple blueprints can be gathered in trial boxes. Outside of that, though, the volcano is only found in the hidden bunker event, and the Bobcat in the locked gate map event. Since the locked gate map event was removed, you could only get it in trials. Now, for those thinking, or those who say in this debate, the Stitcher is better than the Bobcat, you're just wrong. Realistically, though, it is hard to debate since most people have only used a Bobcat a handful of times and most likely died. But if they were equally common, I know you would use a Bobcat all day. But since they are not, I understand it is very hard to justify using it. They increased some spawn and blueprint rates in Salamantis. They've added the legendary weapon to the pool. The biggest update, though, is way at the bottom. So I'll get to that in a second. I'm not going to cover these miscellaneous things. A lot of them I already covered before with the UI menu stuff. But generally fixes for breaching bugs, Discord invites, texture flicker, depth of field, returning to the game after alt tabbing, movement and input handling issues to do with that. The UI updates I've gone through already. The main ones, anyways, the ones that you need to know about. Outside of that, there's just some small changes. The most major change of all is actually under this utility section, which is the expanded blueprint in spawn locations to improve availability in areas they were underrepresented. So first, let me say, increase loot value in the epic key rooms to better reflect their rarity. Obviously, great change. The key rooms were just not strong enough. So I have tested this once already. It was good. It wasn't like, oh my god, wow. But I think with the blueprint change, that's going to be good to do these key cards. Because the next one with the expanded blueprint spawn locations, I'm assuming that now these rooms are pretty much always going to carry blueprints every single time. I was able to find them in there, so that's great. Move that legendary blueprint drop to Stellamontis. I have not done a lot of Stellamontis runs, but apparently it's extremely easy to find now, which is great because nobody was using it. So that's awesome. Obviously, the most overpowered change in the entire patch notes, playing an instrument now applies the vibing status effect to nearby players, which seemingly from testing just seems to play a different song. So, like, if you're all vibing, you're playing different songs and maybe some animation head bob. But that's pretty much it for all of that. So I'm going to finalize the video because, again, I don't want to waste too much of your time with just some key things from this dev interview. We're not going to go and watch the entire thing. This was a dev interview by PC Gamer with Embark Studios, the art director, Robert. And so it's mainly art-based questions going on here. But this is kind of the part of the video that I think you would want to see. So I'm going to play that for a quick second at 1.5 times speed. And so here we go.
It is quite complex. So we do analyze behavior and match accordingly. There's because anymore. No. We got some figures on how many people have even downed another player, and they were surprisingly low at sort of a large scale. But there's also quite a different experience in playing with a squad or solo that we see this. There's a difference in between, and I think that also opens up for a very kind of different experience depending on how you choose to engage with the game from the get-go. Of course, data is great. The amount of just data that we get from telemetry is really helpful in finding out what we should be addressing or tweaking or tuning, and pairing it up with sort of internal assumptions. I mean, it's invaluable when it comes to tuning and balancing, because that's something that we will keep doing continuously.
What thought goes into introducing?
Okay, so that's essentially the most important part of the video. Essentially, they were surprised at how many players actually down other players. They review a lot of data, which is great. Any company, gaming company that reviews a lot of data is fantastic. They implied that the solo matchmaking might be based on the aggression levels of different players. I've personally noticed it in solo. I am pretty much never attacked anytime I go into solo. And because in solo, I'm typically just looting and figuring things out. I'm never really fighting at all. Even in night raids, I'm not really fighting that much. And I've noticed in night raids, I'm not really getting attacked that much. So I can easily see that being the case. Whether as in like duos and trios, I am shooting everything on sight. That I'm there to PvP or hunt arc, and I am not really messing around. He does finalize the thing with the interview with basically saying down here, like on the what's next portion, with essentially saying they don't have a lot of maps, and because of that, they want to keep these maps relevant and updated, and they're going to be trying to add more content and more maps. But essentially, that's it for the interview, and that is it for today. So thank you so much. Happy holidays. I will try to make another video regarding loot, making your own routes and strategies. Outside of that, if you guys want to join my Discord is discord.gg/houseofvirus. I will put it in the description below. But outside of that, have a wonderful holiday. Thank you guys so much for coming to this video, and I really appreciate everything. Have a good day. Oh, and one more thing. You can now craft fireworks box and firecrackers. Happy holidays, everybody, and a Merry Christmas.